At first, an announcement about meetings. In the last half hour this morning, there were no people for meetings, but we're not assuming immediately that everyone who wants to take a third meeting has done so. There are the afternoon and evening meetings. And yet we would also like to allow people who would like to take a fourth meeting to have that chance. So please, if you wish to take a third meeting, considering at times people have taken 20 minutes, if you wish to take a third meeting either in group or individually, please sign up for it. We have posted a little sign-up sheet for individual meetings, afternoon and evening. So if you would please, third meeting people only, write your names in either the group afternoon and evening or the individual slot afternoon or evening, so that we can use the remaining time for people who wish to take a fourth meeting to either sign on the... And when should we say we do that? After lunch? Everybody is here now, everybody can sign up for either individual or group. And after lunch, whatever is open, and usually in the afternoon and evening, I think about 4 people get in, if there is a full group meeting, so you have to calculate a little bit. At times this empty mind can fill itself with calculation. So, no, for people who wish to participate in a group meeting, if after lunch there are openings on the group sheets, no. It's complicated, because if, let's say, 8 people put themselves on the afternoon group sheet for fourth meeting, this may make it very short for people who... If 8 people want to go in the afternoon for a third... How many people haven't had a third meeting? And would like to take it, the people I take. Yeah. Let's count it again. 14. How many of those would like to take individual meetings? I'm sorry to do this, but we have to have clarity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think that the individual slots are taken, right? So only the... Was anybody planning to take an afternoon group meeting? That makes it very clear. So we'll have only individual meetings in the afternoon, and please sign up for the group now, after lunch, until after lunch, and then if there are slots left in the group meeting, then people who wish to come to a fourth meeting, first come, first serve, can get into that group. Is that correct?
You said the evening group.
In the evening group, yeah. We won't have an afternoon group. Is it? This is day 4 of the Aug.1994 10-day retreat in Springwater. We've talked so much about separateness, the separate me or I, ego, being an illusion, although I haven't used that word before, being not a fact, and yet a very strong conviction that it exists. Let us go into that deeper this morning. About a deep conviction as well as confusion existing about whether or not I am a separate being. Because it feels so separate, doesn't it, sitting here on this mat? Here I am, breathing, heart beating, digesting, feeling the fresh air, hearing the hum of the cicadas, sensations in the body, and sensations in this body which I'm quite sure you don't have as my sensations. You have different ones. Everyone has different ones. Everyone has different thoughts spinning through the mind. Thoughts we all have spinning through the mind, but the content varies. And yet, there's a feeling, isn't there? These are my thoughts. And the question has also come up, aren't I the thinker? Am I not the thinker of these thoughts? So shall we look at this very complex question? Hope not to make it more confusing. First of all, this organism, or call it entity if you will, that sits here is not fused like Siamese multiple twins to other people. It's here existing by itself. Can I even say that? The organism is a sort of entity with an autonomic nervous system, vegetative nervous system, and brain, heart, muscles, a body build, cells, blood flowing, organs of sight, hearing, tasting, smelling. It is sort of a unit of a sort. I'm saying of a sort because this organism here would not exist for very long if there was not water, air, oxygen, food, sunlight, and the food that is only possible through earth, sunlight, water, nutrients. We know the tragedy of mass famines when there is desiccation of the earth, droughts, nothing grows, human beings die from starvation or thirst. It's happening and has been happening. So, in a conditional way, there is an entity here, not fused with other organisms and yet very closely linked to intake of substances, gases, food substances, air, light, without which it could not develop and grow and survive at all. So we're not doubting or saying that this very palpable body is an illusion. It's there and it's functioning in very marvelous and unknown ways. Who knows how his or her immune system works unless you have studied this for years in a medical school. And even then, there is an abstraction of it built up in the mind. Just learning about it experimentally in laboratories and through teaching methods does not mean that I can run my immune system. This is absurd. It functions in who knows what mysterious ways, which seem to have started when ovum, egg, and sperm met. But that sperm and that egg brought immense information and growing programs with them, which came from where? From parents and their parents and their parents, ad infinitum. So the reality of the body is not denied or called names like illusion. Actually, the more in touchness there is with the functioning of the body, it seems the healthier one feels, and the more vitalized to be in touch with a body which often, particularly when one starts this work of meditation and listening and awareness, there's a numb feeling. One doesn't feel one's body. There was a woman here in several retreats who told me only in the last retreat, at one point did I start feeling my body. It was an older woman. She was sitting almost the whole time, and I'd worried about her. Would she get a backache? She had never done this before. Leg ache, hip ache, knee ache. I asked her, she said, no, I don't feel anything. It's fine. And she was telling me how totally out of touch she has been all her life with this living organism, which may start very early in our life when we are raised. And that may be just one factor. I'm not a psychologist or try to say what exactly is the cause. I have a feeling that being raised and the body is something dirty, or not to touch certain places, not to expose it to others. Kids are spanked for when they take their little skirts and pants down to look at each other. Isn't there something not to be looked at? It's intertwined in certain religions with a religious life to negate or hide the body. I once found myself in a Catholic hospital in Switzerland, and when I was first allowed to take a bath, the sister put an apron on me in the bath, in the tub, so I couldn't see myself. Actually, she was very interested in a way, because she knew I had a friend, Kyle, boyfriend, and we're visiting ours, and she said, would you like me to let him in at night out of orderly time? So she had some aliveness to her. But the instructions were cover the body so she won't see herself. So factors like that, being told bad when sticking finger in the nose, ears, or wherever else. We're bad, we're punished. This is dangerous, we're told. Boys are told when they masturbate they may become mentally ill. Used to be told that way. I don't know how it is today. So this gives the body some ominous and dangerous aspects, not to be touched or looked at or felt. And it's the amazing thing how the past conditioning lives on to the age of 60, one has no feeling for the body. Also, it may have happened or happen still that children's physical needs for being held, touched, cuddled, fondled, loved are not fulfilled. But going to school, many people have told me this, so I have some basis for this. Going to school and starting to excel in academic subjects, in reading, writing, and arithmetic, all of a sudden brings at least loving looks and maybe some rewards, maybe money from the parents. This is something acceptable, to excel intellectually, to develop our intellectual capacities, which are very highly rewarded in our society. The brains in the class get the scholarships. Of course, there's also the other side, the athletic, the bronze. But that's only a small minority of kids who make the teams. On the whole, the achieving academically is highly rewarded. So the energies go into that kind of development away from physical awareness and physical unfolding. Because there was no reward in that, but here there is. One can compete in this and be loved and accepted and respected. So these may be causal factors of why one may find oneself in the beginning of sitting sort of numb, physically numb, and to begin to awaken to the sensations that are there in this body, or for the body to produce sensations that it had resisted or repressed, is a wonderful thing, even though often the first sensations felt are those of pain. Several people have told me, thank goodness I feel some pain. I feel something. I haven't felt anything before. And this wasn't coupled with the idea that it's good for me to suffer pain, but to feel some aliveness. So, to really allow awareness to permeate this physical organism is a wonderful thing, very joyful. To feel what is naturally there, without having any control over it other than awareness of it. The beating of the heart, or pains maybe in hips or knees, the tingling of energy that one may feel at times, particularly when one sits together with people, or after several days there may be really palpable energy vibrating in this body. And the breathing, of course, is not just word and idea, it's something actually happening. As is ka, ka, ka. It's physical, it's not separate. The hearing of it, the organismic reception, is that ka, ka, ka. It's not two things, although theoretically, scientifically, you can explain it as sound waves traveling, but when you sit here without thinking scientifically, it feels as one whole palpitating energy of aliveness. So don't, or not to denigrate pain and not to elevate it on a pedestal, but to feel it. Maybe without separation for the first time, directly, without any comments, without any resistance, for or against. What is it? That's the lead question. Not a repetitive kind of practice, but what is it? And then openly listening, feeling, sensing, what's there? Inside and ka, ka, ka. It's not outside, and pain is not inside. It's there, it's here, now. Someone told me I have a hard time meditating because I have allergies. My nose is running. It's all right, feel it. Feel the tickle in the nose, the dripping, the moisture running through the nose, and feel the hand reaching for the handkerchief and patting the handkerchief to the nose. Feel it not guiltily or negatively because it prevents me from something, but as something that's there and can be attentively felt and seen and heard, which does not interrupt meditation. Meditation is not a separate process. It is the growing awareness of what is without judgment. So here is this body functioning mysteriously. We forget about it. We forget about it. We eat food, swallow it, and then forget about it. Maybe if one has problems with stomach or intestines, one doesn't forget about it. One feels the difficulties that the organs may have to digest. But something's going on all the time. Has anyone ever felt a cell dividing? I haven't. They're doing it right now. Cells dying. Is one feeling that? And it's happening. So is it becoming somewhat clear and clearer? There's no controller there who's doing this. It's going on creatively on its own, in harmony with what is taken in from the earth, the sky, the universe, and given back. The exhalation, and of course when we die, the body is returned. Not these days when one gets moisture-proof caskets, which we were told when we went through this when my mother-in-law died. And it was really amazing to listen to the sales rap. This one will preserve the body for at least 1,000 years. Something like that. And this is even cooled. Of course, there's nothing new. The pyramids have preserved the pharaohs until they were looted. Not just the pyramids, but the very sophisticated embalming methods. And this is not done by no animals do this, trying to preserve the bodies. Human beings do that because we have, as we've mentioned many times now, this amazing capacity to imagine ourselves as somebody, which goes beyond this body. It's something else, something more. It's somebody, not just this organism, but me as being this or that, which happens very early in our life. Our parents tell us what we are, that we're good or bad, responsible or irresponsible, grouchy, angry. And if we're grouchy or angry, one person told me this, remembering when he was 5 years old, his mother dumping him in his room and saying, "This is not our John." He was angry. He says, from then on I realized anger was not the way to be, to stay in touch with his mother, in friendly touch. So the image built up of a non-angry John, and we all know this, don't we? Somebody just told me the other day, I was never angry because that was not the way to be. I was never fearful because one isn't fearful, particularly if one is raised as a boy. Boys aren't supposed to be afraid. They're not supposed to cry. So from the very beginning, the way we are treated and seen and talked about and talked to by our siblings, brothers, sisters, parents, teachers, an idea grows in this mind of what we are. We picture it, or many pictures, a whole album full. Pictures about myself, what I am, and a whole album pictures full of what I am not or should not be. And the two often conflict with each other. The picture of what I am prevents, and what I should not be prevents me to see what is really going on right now, in anger or fury welling up, wanting to give somebody a piece of my mind, telling him off, or telling him how unjustly he or she treated me. Can one, yes, it's beginning to happen. It happens for many people, beginning to see what's there rather than stick with a picture of how I should be. To be in touch with anger or annoyance or fear. And not already have ideas about it, that it's good or bad or dangerous. But keep touching it from very little on. So that we're in touch with what moves human beings. Like you and me, not like those over there. But the topic right now is, how does this feeling of being a separate person develop? This is what we're trying to sort of follow up. Being told how we are, and then reading books if we're interested in reading. Maybe these days it's more watching television or video games. Picking heroes who one takes for example. I want to be like him or her. And it doesn't take much. There's a tremendous ability in human beings to imitate. Supposedly at the peak, at the age of 2, to learn and imitate, to learn a language happens before or at the age of 2. What is so hard and takes so long for adults, the kids just do it because their brain is so ripe, so ready, so capable. We've watched it with amazement in our grandchildren. Their drive and capacity and spontaneous practice in imitation of what the adults were saying, and not just what they were saying, but their inflections, the tone of voice. Our granddaughter just repeating it to herself. She had heard something from the breakfast table while she was playing with a doll on the floor. And suddenly she picked up a phrase. It was meaningless to her, I think, but the tone of voice, she kept repeating to herself. So have we built up imagery about ourselves? Of course we have. One may be not used to seeing that directly. If one starts with this work, it still is an abstract thing, an image I have of myself. But there will be a first time, or has been a first time, when it's very vivid. Becomes particularly vivid if one is either flattered or hurt. Somebody says, "You're really nice," or "You're really so capable." And what happens? Watch it. Something feels good, my image, my idea of myself, and I want to hear more. I want to seek out that person's company. It makes me feel good, or she. The opposite happening when somebody is anything but flattering, is critical or mean. Maybe critical without being mean may already hurt my self-image. Somebody telling me, "Why did you do this? And this was not a very appropriate thing. It had such and such consequences." Am I hurt already? There's something to watch. This is really, people say, "What shall I do at home when I come home with this work?" Watch this, how you feel when somebody flatters you or criticizes you or talks in a derogative or mean way about you. Then watch it. Because usually we react, and reacting is not watching. But it's possible to watch the reaction about to explode. Either to offend the person back, to pay him or her back, or to defend oneself. Rationalize, or to withdraw. Thinking negative things about that person and building a wall of this kind of thought wall around oneself about the other people who, well, I don't know, one can watch it. I don't have to improvise everything. So, this image we have of ourselves as being, well, it's constantly growing. Maybe we learn something new, we have had an insight, we have a new relationship, somebody seems to like us, and the image changes and grows, becomes richer or more multiple. And to this imagery of myself there is attachment, there's clinging. In a superficial way and in a very deep way. Because no matter whether the imagery is positive or negative about myself, and some people have very negative images about themselves, being no good, hopeless, not capable of learning or seeing or having insight. But this stuff is clung to. It's one's identity. It's one's existence. It's one's life or death. And unless very desperate, most of us want to live and exist on as something that has given us the security of knowing what we are, positive or negative or a mixture of the two. Can we examine right now that in knowing what I am, there is some feeling of security? In knowing what I will be when I finish school, or when I have some success with this, and these ideas already, every idea arouses some energies in the body, and ideas about a good future for myself arouse positive energies, and to those energies there is sort of a kind of addiction, wanting to think about myself positively, and wanting to think about myself as continuing. There's attachment to these ideas, to this kind of fantasy, which is can be a very creative fantasy, because what I imagine myself to be, if there's capacity and energy aroused, sufficient inheritance material which we bring along, or this body has brought along from the DNA, from the parents and parents' parents, then we may become this astronaut or whatever one imagines. Become the President of the United States. Who could ever imagine a thing like that? Probably not imagine what it brings with it. Just the glory of it. I don't know what people imagine who strive for that. So, there is attachment to this picture, which goes far beyond this biological body with its biological functioning. We haven't even mentioned the molecular functioning, the atomic or atomistic functioning, the electronic functioning, the particle functioning. All of that is going on here, unbeknownst to me, or just theoretical. But way beyond this is the idea of myself, positive or negative, to which there is attachment, clinging, as an existence that should continue. Because underneath hovers the fear of not being, or being nothing, nobody, which is inconceivable to thought. Thought always has to decorate and enhance and color in. Create scenarios. It's very good at that. Fantasy is fantastically creative. And in the future scenario for each of us is the idea of continuing. Or should there be an ending to this physical body, continuing either in an afterlife, in heaven, happy hunting grounds, or the pyramids. Because there was mythology, there was a boat ready to where the body was to be going to the other shore. It wasn't called the other shore, but something like that. And then embalming this body that has died, is now lifeless, particularly if it is kept away from the moist and creative earth, and animals, which would take care of it in a different way than our caskets do and our pyramids. So, is there a thinker to the thoughts? Is there an experiencer to all the experiences? Is there a doer to action or reaction? Is there a wanter of all the desires, of all the wantings? Or will we hold off on saying yes or no, there is or there isn't, and watch experiencing, watch doing, watch reacting, watch fearing, and maybe come upon more and more clearly that one fearful memory aroused by maybe something that reminds of something fearful gets the whole body upset, or one memory of past humiliation. As children, many of us have been humiliated. It almost is inevitable. Parents lose their temper or lose their patience at times. Very few that don't. I don't know whether there are any. And gnarl or shout at the child. And the child's image, if it doesn't have any image, it may just shudder or jump from the trauma of a shout. That's very natural to be afraid or to react to loud noises. But if there's image development, that image is hurt by a father, mother, or sibling who is strong, talks loudly or angrily. And if there's lots of it, it becomes a real sore, which may be encapsulated with not feeling anymore. So then somebody can shout a blue streak at me, I won't feel it. You can say what you want, I'll just put on a silly smile, which gets parents even more angry. So, can one watch someone now shouting or scolding one, criticizing one? It links up with early humiliation. When one was very little, among lots of kids or few kids, or no siblings, it doesn't matter. It links up with early hurt. And the early hurt it's an electrical, quick chemical process, arouses the body to respond in reactiveness, defensiveness, hurt. You watch it. It's an amazing spectacle. And also how it is kept going by thinking some more about it and thinking in loaded terms. I think we've talked about it, at least in groups, maybe here. The language, the words that are used to describe to ourselves what somebody else did to us keeps us upset, anxious, angry. Until insight happens, and with that the natural question, why continue this? Does this have to continue to talk about what happened to me? That's the quality of insight. Not just thinking I shouldn't be doing this. It doesn't do anything. It just makes one feel guilty, and there are new physical responses to the thought I shouldn't be doing this. I should know better. So is there a thinker to the thoughts? Do we feel that way right now? There's all kinds of thinking going on. Somebody's talking and evoking thoughts or images, memories to look at. Who does it? If you ask me who's talking, I'll say the words are coming, like Niagara. They're just coming out of who, where, I don't know. Consciousness, out of emptiness, out of looking. But I would not say out of me. That doesn't seem to fit at all. Because there's spaciousness and listening and looking. And there is an urge to convey something which is there, it manifests out of the whole past and present. Now, to talk. And what about yourself? Is there a thinker, an imaginer, or imaginaress? Or do images just come up? Saying right now, think of your home, of the room you sleep in. Isn't it there? It comes up, it pops up. Think of your mother. Maybe she's not alive anymore, so think of a picture of her. It's there, isn't it? Think of the view out of the balcony from the center. I don't even have to look, the picture's there. The brain produces it in some way or other. Some people have said it produces a hologram, a holograph. Well, that's just another word for something that's happening. It happens faster than a potential or possible doer could get all the slides out and find this. So can one begin to notice that thoughts flow? Well, everybody has noticed this flows constantly. But do they flow out of a thinker, or is that an additional thought? That my thoughts come out of me, the thinker. That's thought right now, isn't it? Whether there is really a thinker or not, right now one can think that there's a thinker. That much we can see right now. That we can think, I am the thinker of my thoughts, and that's a thought. Whether it's really so needs to be tested. Find that thinker, find that doer. If it's really there. Find the experiencer. When there's seeing a beautiful sunset or sunrise, the fog this morning, and the wads of fog over Springwater, and the colors of the mist from the deck. Incredible, and the sound of it all, the delicacy and fragrance of it. It was just the whole thing. Was there an experience of it, or was there just experiencing the whole thing? The whole thing, not separate from the experiencing. But the moment thought arises and reflects, wow, I'm having a tremendous experience. I got to tell someone, I got to write it down. Because I'm having an experience, then the I thought is newly created and connects with all the previous I thoughts. Me, the separate one. Me, the continuing one, the one who needs to continue after this body dies, disintegrates, which is the way of bodies, has been for millions of years. It's not just the way of bodies, it's the ways of planets and stars and universes. So, can there be in tuneness with the ways of organisms, be they the cell or the body, the state, the nation, galaxies or universes? Be in touch with that. How? I don't know. It's going on. Maybe by coming quieter and quieter and quieter and still quieter. in the presence of whatever there is. And in this presence, an image popping up, oh, I'm doing good, or oh, I'm not doing well, will be seen for what it is. Image, idea, the past, manifesting now. And need there be attachment to this image? Need it continue? Listen again quietly. Where is the image? Because there may be an image of a crow. Maybe the word crow. But see, it's just an image. It comes and goes, and the caw-caw comes and goes. It's not there now, is it? What's there now? Whatever there is. And the breathing in the midst of it. Freely, openly, because there's no controller and no fear. Image creates fear, doesn't it? What other people may think of me, oh my God, if they find out. I have to please them. I have to be liked and approved. And I'm not saying that doesn't have a place to please people or to be gentle and friendly, to maintain good relations has a place. But if it becomes all powerful and that one is suffering every time one isn't sure, did I offend her or him? Not just did I offend her or him, but what will come back to me? How he or she will see me now. One will begin to see the imprisonment of imagery, the imprisonment that imagery constitutes. Image of myself, what I should be, how I should be seen, what I should become, and what I must not be. What is it all? This morning, I was walking down and up the drive. There was a little rabbit on the side of the road. I'd seen that rabbit before. I don't know whether it's the same one. All rabbits look alike. Well, this was a little bit bigger than last time. Well, there are bigger rabbits and smaller rabbits. But this one looked, out of the side of the eye. Tilted the head a little bit as I came up and then straightened the head as I went by. Tilted the head a little bit as I went by, and it didn't run away. Up till now, all rabbits have run away. And a joyous thought entered this mind. Animals too can learn over and above their instincts to run. If animals can do it, we can do it too. I don't know whether that's a good analogy. That was amazing. Usually rabbits run. I was looking, big eye. Nothing dangerous has happened. Nothing dangerous is happening. So why not continue to sit? It wasn't nibbling right then. Later when I looked back, it was nibbling again. So, can we look what's going on in this mind? and realize that there is a world of reality, of actuality, of facts to be lived, and not just the ideas of what I and you and this world is. Or should be. So what is it really? What am I really? This moment of not yet knowing, but here, fully alive. We will end here for today, and the next 2 days there will be no talks.